Hello, friend. I am so excited to talk about this subject because I feel like I've just had a massive breakthrough. And that is my relationship with my inner being and how vital and important it is. And it's taken me a while to get to this point, but now that I'm here, it feels incredible. And I want to talk to you about this. A couple days ago, I had kind of an experience with my partner that didn't feel so good, but it brought me to this realization when I was conversing with myself, having a conversation with myself. And this is what came to me. My inner being is only as free inside of imagination as I allow it to be through the states that I choose to inhabit. And so what that means to me is that when I look back on my life and I see how all my closest relationships have been very tumultuous at times, some of them chronically so, and it's so easy to look at that person or that situation and say, this is your fault. You are to blame. This is not me. This is all outside of me. But thanks to Neville Goddard and Edward Art and some other teachings that I have followed throughout the last decade of my life, I recognize that nothing is outside of me. Everything is coming from within me. Thank you, Edward, for that clarification, because that was really helpful to me. And if nothing is coming to me, right, but everything is coming from me, then that means that everything I'm experiencing is a reflection coming from within me. So everything that I'm giving to myself, to my inner being, is always going to be reflected back to me through other people, through the experiences that I'm having in this outer world, right? In this physical reality. So that's why it's so important to have a relationship with my inner being. Because if my inner being is in bondage because of the states that I'm inhabiting, whether consciously or unconscious, I'm creating what is being reflected back to me. My inner being can only reflect or give to me what I'm giving to it. And that gets reflected back to me, right? And that is powerful. That's huge. And so, knowing this, I can make choices that are in line with what I want. Because when I look back on my life, I can see how I let things outside of myself dictate what my experiences were going to be. And of course I would feel powerless. And of course I would not feel happy about it. Because when that is the case, it typically brings a lot of suffering, a lot of unwanted experiences, right? So that is the only job that I have here, is to practice using my imagination and practice inhabiting the states that I want to inhabit until they feel natural, right? Until they feel normal. Because that is what I'm going to be giving to my inner being. And then when my inner being is receiving what I'm giving to it, it's going to reflect it back to me. So if my inner being is being fed limiting thoughts and beliefs and feelings from this, all based on my outer experience, I'm imprisoning my inner being from being able to fully give to me everything that I want. And that is truly sad, because it's a life half lived. And so rather than living my life in fear and pain and suffering at times, I can look at the world, at the observable what is, and I can see what's being reflected back to me, and I can take responsibility for that. I don't have to blame anybody. I don't have to feel like a victim. I get to decide the states that I choose to inhabit, regardless of what's going on outside of me. Those are all just telling me, or giving me clues. They're just telling me what I'm giving to myself, to my inner being. And that's what's being reflected back to me, right? So that is liberation. That is freedom. Freedom to have, be, or do anything that I want. And it's all here for me. I don't have to be limited, because when I'm not limiting my inner being with bondage, with reason, with any of that ridiculousness, then my inner being is free to do what it does. And it does things that I can't even conspire to figure out. All I can do is set the stage for what it is that I want and give that to myself, give it to my inner being, and then my inner being does what it does, which I'm not in control of what it does, but I am in control of, am I limiting what it can do for me? That I have complete control over. And isn't that amazing news? Isn't that, to me, that is everything. Because my relationship with my inner being, there's nothing more important than to have that set and established, right? And it's so simple. And it's eluded me for most of my life. So I'm not trying to make light of it. But now I get it. And I get it in part thanks to listening to Edward Art over and over, and having everything reflected back to me that is unwanted is such a gift. It's such a blessing, because I can now see it for what it is. It's not personal. Nobody on the outside world is trying to hurt me. They're not trying to destroy me or be mean to me or make me suffer on purpose. That's never been the case. Even though I have had stories that have told me otherwise, now I see it clearly. For the first time in my life, I see clearly my part and what I'm in charge of and what I get to be in control of. And I feel like unstoppable. And because I feel liberated, I now know that my inner being feels liberated. We are on the same page, and I can feel this feeling, this knowing that everything I'm putting into the relationship with my inner being is going to come back to me, and it's going to be magnified in ways that I can't orchestrate it. I can't orchestrate the things that my inner being is capable of orchestrating. The only thing I have to orchestrate in this life, in this experience, is what I'm giving to myself. And I do that by choosing the state that I'm inhabiting. Because everything connected to that state, everything, every thought, every experience, everything is going to come and surround that state. And that state is going to reveal itself by what's being reflected back to me. So if I don't like what's being reflected back to me, all I have to do is decide what state I would prefer to inhabit. And that's where I get to use my imagination and practice using my imagination, because that's a powerful tool available to me. And when I do that, I set my inner being free. She can do anything. It can do anything. Your inner being, my inner being. There's nothing that can hinder what the inner being is capable of reflecting back to you when you start consciously choosing the states that you're inhabiting. So just practicing that, like Edward Art says, like the teachings of Neville Goddard lay out, all you have to do is practice. We're here to practice using our imagination. It's amazing, and it's beautiful, and it's limitless, right? So all it takes is our willingness, our allowing, our attention, and then things begin to show up. Things that you and I could not have orchestrated on our own. And that, to me, is phenomenal. To me, that is amazing. So I wanted to share that with you. I shared that with my husband, and he really loves it. He really appreciates it. And this is someone who has been absolutely instrumental in reflecting everything that I have been giving to myself back to me. And it has infuriated me at times. I mean, just absolutely had me just, And it's all been to help me come to this place of understanding, of clarity, of realization of just what I can do and what I'm capable of. Blaming anyone outside of myself, anyone or anything, is useless. There's no point. I mean, unless it brings you to this point, there's no point in it, because it's futile, right? It's just an exercise in futility. I'm exercising my fertility in imagination rather than futility. But that only happens when you can, and when I started recognizing that everything being reflected back to me was just what I was giving to myself. And now that that's become so clear, all I'm left to do is inhabit the state that I choose and practice utilizing my imagination to feel how I want to feel, because everything else must be, it must show up in my life, and it will support that. It will support those actions on my part. And it's really I'm not even really taking an action so much as I'm choosing a state of being, and that's what will show up. So anyways, I am so excited about this, and I hope your day is absolutely, unbelievably wonderful. And there'll be more videos. I know it's been a little while, but things have been really good here for me, and I've just been waiting to make a video that was the right video for me to make. And I've got to admit, I've tried over the last 2 days to make several, and my internet was not having it. And I'm glad. I'm glad, because this is the one I wanted to share with you, friend. This is a huge breakthrough. Your relationship with your inner being is absolutely the most precious and most valuable and most important relationship that you can have. And everything else from that is just going to be gravy, right? So until we talk again, much love.